A member of Illinois' highly paid diversity commission disclosed to side jobs and state officials in a manner that masked how much she had earned. That's according to our investigative reporter, Jared Strong, for the Center Square. I'm Greg Bishop. This is Illinois in Focus Daily, and we're joined now by Jared, who is continuing his investigations into what's going on with this diversity commission. Jared, we've talked several times about your ongoing journey to try to get answers. And it's a pretty costly commission that you say doesn't really take many votes of consequence. Give us the headline and the latest in your investigation, and then let's talk a little bit more about what this means for others who may be in the same type of boat.
Hey, thanks for having me, Greg. Yeah, so we've been looking into the Commission on Equity and Inclusion. It's a commission that was created in 2022. 7 commissioners, they make about $150,000 a year apiece. Our investigations have shown that they have relatively lax schedules compared with their counterparts elsewhere in government. As you mentioned, they take, I would say, no votes of consequence to the public, at least in recent years. Unlike some of the other boards and commissions, these commissioners are also allowed to have side jobs. So we've been looking into that. This story is an extension of that. We initially found that 4 of the 7 members have outside jobs, and most of them have been paid for them, several thousands of dollars a year. One person runs a digital media company. One is freelance as a human resources contractor. One person directed a play last year in Chicago, and he co-founded a business that hosts Dungeons and Dragons games at bars. And then the 4th, has taught and consulted for universities. That commissioner, Entity Rivera, she reported that work to the state in a way, like you said, that sort of hid how much money she was making doing it. These commissioners and many other state employees, they're required to disclose how much money they make in other jobs. The main focus is to ensure that they don't have conflicts of interest that might interfere with their work. In this case, we've used that to help ferret out some of these other side jobs that they've had. And so, as I said, she reported her work for the University of Illinois in one section of these forms, but there's another section that's a bit more crucial to what we're looking at. And that's a section that where people are supposed to report how much money they made, or jobs where they made more than $7,500. That threshold has since gone up. And she did not report it in those sections as well on those disclosures, and that's required. So in a way, it made it seem that she was making less than $7,500 a year with the university. But the university is a public institution. Their records are open to public examination. And so we requested them. We asked them, how much did you pay Commissioner Rivera in recent years, each of the calendar years? And we found that in 2021, this was before she was a commissioner, but she still had to report this. She made $18,000 that year. In 2023, when she definitely was serving the full year as a commissioner, she made $22,000 or $22,500 for that calendar year. So she has not responded to my requests for comment, multiple. As we've discussed before, I drove to Chicago quite a ways to see these folks in person. They still refuse to talk with me. So we don't know if it was intentional. We don't know if it was an oversight. She is an attorney, so one would think that she might have a better understanding of the requirements of the law than other folks.
But does that matter, right? I mean, whether it's intentional or unintentional, I mean, there's still got to be some kind of consequence for that, right?
It's hard to say. The state attorney general's office at the state level and at the local level have declined to comment about those types of investigations. There's wording in it that you have to essentially prove that the person knew what they were doing was wrong in these cases. It's knowingly filing a false or incomplete report. So it's up to someone's judgment and interpretation of what thoughts were going through Commissioner Rivera's head when she was filling out that form.
Jared, this obviously something you've been tracking for literally months upon months upon months and have traveled hours upon hours. And I can't even imagine how many emails you've had to send out and how many phone calls you've had to make without really any response other than through FOIA getting stuff that they are legally required to hand over to you. So the onion continues to peel back with hard work, of course, from the Center Square's investigative team. You of course have more to do with this story. What's next?
Well, we have an outstanding records request that will hopefully shine some light on the issues that they've had with the new computer system that they bought, as we've
I
discussed.
forgot that's a totally different issue here, right? I mean, it's not just this deep layer you peeled back to get university spending to match up with whether or not they're reporting it properly to their, diversity commissioner employment. But yeah, the computer system, they're supposed to be increasing diversity here. For some reason, it's decreasing.
Yes, I mean, not only are there questions about just the amount of money they make and how much work they might be doing, the work they have done has backfired. I mean, it's really caused a huge issue for them in certifying businesses. They get preference in state contracting, those businesses that are majority owned by racial minorities, women, and people who are disabled. They have half as many of those certified businesses now as they did a couple of years ago. And that's a really big problem. It goes against their goals. So we've got a records request out. They provided some of those records that were heavily redacted. I've challenged that. So that appeal process is playing out right now. That's one avenue. They should be releasing their annual report that will really show what the effect of the decreased number of certified businesses is. That'll be big. That's got to be coming up here real soon. And then there's a chance that a commissioner or staff will be talking to lawmakers as part of the budget process. Some lawmakers we've talked to have said that they're going to, grill the commission's representative on the work that they're doing, as they go through that budget process.
Well, and I imagine they're going to be referencing the Center Square stories because you're really going deep, deep, deep into that onion and finding some of these questionable things. And it's a lot of work to be able to shed light onto that. But that's what we're doing here at the Center Square, and thanks to the investigative unit with the Center Square, including Jared Strong here. Jared, we're going to be talking with you, of course, about this because, as you said, likely commissioners or staff will have to be in front of a legislative body to ask for more money, right? I mean, they're $7 million budget is how much they have.
Yeah, and it's the governor has proposed a decrease to that. They've been allotted in the past, the ability to spend as much as $7 million, but they've been ramping up their new commission, so they haven't spent quite that much. And I think that number will be down. But I mean, it's $1 million just for the commissioners' salaries. And it doesn't seem like the state lawmakers are getting the results that they perhaps expected when they created that commission.
And you've got staff, and you've got travel, and you've got per diem, and all these other associated costs that can quickly ramp up to where you can see millions and millions of dollars being spent on this commission, which doesn't really take many votes of consequence, if any at all, and is also not really changing the trajectory of increasing diversity contracting. Something else, too, I think taxpayers in particular in the state of Illinois would probably benefit from knowing how much in taxpayer contracts are they trying to, guide here, essentially.
Yeah, well, not all contracts are eligible for this program just because they might be in a business sector that is highly specialized, and there might be few companies that do it. But I mean, as we talked before, Governor Pritzker, he proposed a $56 billion operating budget. The state spends far more than that each year. They in a recent year, an annual report identified, I believe it was over $100 billion of state contracts for 1 year that could be eligible, for these businesses. And the goal for the state is to get 30% of those, so tens of billions of dollars. And I can't remember the figure off the top of my head, but I want to say it was a little over 1 billion that was awarded before this big computer problem happened. So we're waiting to see whether or not that number has gone up or gone down.
We'll continue to touch base with Jared Strong from our investigative unit to keep us up to date with what's going on with this diversity commission costing Illinois taxpayers and whether they're getting any good results for the taxpayers. Jared, greatly appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon, all right?
Take it easy, Greg. Thanks.
It is Illinois in Focus daily with the Center Square. I'm Greg Bishop, and get the latest headlines in your inbox by getting the newsletter at thecentersquare.com.